Would I buy my first investment property and do a short-term rental like Airbnb? I personally wouldn't. I mean, I think, not that I would never do it, I just wouldn't do it on my first one because there's so much you're going to learn buying your first rental property. You're just going to learn everything, everything you need to know about being a landlord, and so, and there's a lot of stuff. It's not rocket science, but when you do something new and it's a big investment like that, it's nice to kind of ease into stuff. And so I personally wouldn't, because I wouldn't buy my first property and only do a short-term rental because it's very risky. You don't have a profile. From what I've heard with Airbnb, you need to have a profile, reviews. Airbnb kind of needs to see that you've had some success, and then they'll push your listing basically as people are searching. And with Airbnb, it is a science to it because you need to know, is there a lot of inventory of Airbnbs in that area? There's just, and it's that times like 10 things that you need to know to be successful on Airbnb. And so already having an investment property is a big undertaking, but now you're like doing that times 5. And so I personally wouldn't recommend doing that on your first one. Maybe like down the road, and I'm not into short-term rentals or Airbnb yet, but eventually I will. I'm definitely interested in it. But today, in 2023, I know several people who own Airbnbs, and their bookings are down right now. And not in every single situation, but I've heard from at least 3 different people that do Airbnb and short-term rentals, their bookings are down. And I think what had happened, and that's going to happen with different, as more people get into it, as there's more supply of Airbnbs, as the consumer has more options, obviously bookings are going to go down. So over time, everybody and their mother is buying a Airbnb rental property. How many people that have thought about buying an Airbnb property or currently has one? There's a lot of people into that, and so I think that's one of the reasons. And then the algorithm, like the YouTube algorithm, the Airbnb algorithm changes, and so they might not post you as much. So all that to say, and there's a bunch of other things I could say about it, but all that to say, it's more risk. It's actually the most risk that you probably could do with real estate investing, besides developing. But I would just highly emphasize not to do that on your first one. Wait to do that later down the road. Yes, there's definitely benefits to Airbnb, which is why I will entertain that in the future, but not on my first one.